A random creature design speed paint. Who would have thought? I think I've only done these as draw with me's and streams, but I've never ever put them in together as a sped up process video that's just 10 minutes long. So I hope you guys enjoy seeing a, well, quick overview of how I created this fishboy, as he has been called, or a unit, or a tank, or meat boy, and Muffin. He's gotten a lot of nicknames. I think we all just fell in love with him and just wanted to give him nicknames. So I thought I would do a voiceover and just explain the process for you guys. As you saw, the animals we got chosen was Wolf, Moose, Puffin, and then we added in salmon just in case I wanted to use something different. Guess what? We only really used the salmon. That's the one you see, and Puffin. But yeah, it was really fun. So as you can see now, I am sketching in the overall shape of the creature. This is where I do all the design work. I figure out what I like. I erase some parts, I add some other parts. Whenever I feel like, oh, we can add a shape here that looks a bit cooler. We can push this part a little bit further out. Put a little bit more bulk in him, try a horn, try a tail. This is where you should do all the exploration for your creature design and look a lot on your references for ideas of what you want to add to your very interesting creature. If you are interested in like how I design creatures, there is one video up on my channel that kind of walks you through it. There's also a video up on my Patreon, which is for my $5 patrons. And it kind of explains pretty well what goes through my head whenever I design a creature. I think immediately after getting all the animals, and especially the puffin, I knew that it was going to look very much like a griffin. Some people were thinking that there was some sort of big cat in with the mix of the animals, but it's actually a wolf, which you would never guess. So I wanted to keep that beak prominent. This is why I'm kind of calling this a griffin, and actually a flightless griffin with gills, which is kind of interesting. But I thought, why does all the griffins that are designed need to be like winged creatures? So I thought, it looks like a griffin, let it be a griffin. And that's why we called it a Rivergryph at the end of it. I also just want to say that all the brushes that I'm using are my own brushes. They're custom that I've made so that I know that I could work comfortably in Procreate. You can find a link to those down below if you are interested. I'm using the charcoal HB for the line art, and I think I use the same one for the rough sketch as well. And now I'm just going through the whole creature, just lining it. This is probably my most favorite part of the process. I had so much fun lining this creature, and I was keeping it kind of realistic, kind of very light. I knew that I wanted to match the illustrations on the cover of A Natural History of Dragons that I adore by Todd Lockwood, I think his name is. I just love how he has painted his dragons on that cover. You'll see that cover pop up quite a few times during the process because I do reference it a lot to try and get something that kind of matches this. Also, since we haven't really talked in a while about creature design on this channel, I thought I would say that Patreon is still going. We are still printing these creature designs every month, but this time is now as a postcard, kind of an explorer postcard, kind of like a scientific illustration. So if you guys want that postcard, it's limited. I will never print it again. You can go over to my Patreon and sign up before the 1st of October, and you'll receive the postcard print in the mail. I'm so sorry for plugging my Patreon so much, but it is kind of my main source of income, and I have been neglecting YouTube for a bit, and that's how I usually kind of told you guys about it. But yeah, this is the line work stage, the process. It takes a while. I spend a good amount of time just doing the line art. I think for the line art and for the sketch and the rough color, I think I spent about 3 hours. So you will see me doing the rough color now. This is kind of where the 3-hour mark is. In total, I spent around 10 or 11 hours on this piece, like the whole postcard. which is actually quite unusual for me. I usually maybe spend around 6 or less, just because I do it quite quick, but this one I spent time really painting it and rendering it and finding the muscle groups and like veins and stuff, and it was so much fun, and you'll see that coming up later. This is a recording from the streams, so that's why you can see my hand and me zooming in and out, and also those really annoying pop-ups that come up in the corner, flashing at us. Yeah, there we go. Those. So I apologize for that. I will try and record them differently on a separate kind of way next time. But it shows kind of where I work and how I zoom in, rather than just looking at the Procreate screen recording, because that one is just from afar and you just see the strokes. You don't get to see where I zoom in and where I work when I go in and out. Can I just say that I loved the puffin beak? It is so intricate. Have you ever zoomed in on a puffin beak and like looked at it? It's really interesting, and I like that I just popped that on there, and that's the first thing you see, really. That and the fish skin, and everyone's reaction on stream and everyone I've showed it to later has been, oh, does it taste good? And that's why I had to draw a chunk of salmon at the end, just to explain that yes, it is a delicacy, but you shouldn't because they're endangered. Thank you very much. It was also really fun trying to play around with the shininess of the skin and the dots. The texture of a salmon is very detailed. When you look at references of salmon, you see all those little dots, and it's hard to figure out how exactly to do that texture. And I ended up doing black spots that I painted on myself. I duplicated that layer, and the bottom layer I colored like a light blue, put that to overlay, and blurred it, so it kind of blurs out on the edges, and that seemed to do it. And the other spots that's on his rest of his body are a snow brush, I think comes with Procreate. And you saw there I actually made him a little bit less beefy. Now this is the Procreate speed paint. You can see that it's not as much zooming in and out as the previous clips. But at least you get to see how I painted the whole body. I went from line art with color and like random overlays to make the shininess and everything. But now I'm going in with the same brush, the charcoal HB, and I'm just like sketching. And I'm finding all the shapes and all the muscles and tweaking it, and I'm looking at so many references for deer and moose and wolf. And for the back legs, I actually found references of greyhounds because they have really pronounced musculature, and it's very similar to a lot of other creatures like mammals. Well, it's pretty much the same but a little bit different proportions. So that's how I get my muscles to look really real, but at the same time, if somebody who knew animal anatomy and like every single muscle group looking at this, they probably will go, this is not correct. Which is probably true, but I'm not here to try and make it 100%. I just wanted to look appealing. The back legs, the hip, the butt was actually the most difficult part for me. It took me a while to find the right shapes. I don't think I usually draw the muscles and the bones very clearly on hind legs, so this was actually a really good exercise for me to try and figure out exactly how to do that. I'm very comfortable with shoulders and front legs, but not hindquarters, which is very interesting to me. But I had so much fun doing this. I spent hours just sitting and painting this, and it's one of those rare occasions where I actually enjoy painting, which you wouldn't expect this to be painting, but I would consider it painting. I had a line art for a base, and I'm painting over the line art and over the color layer to make it look a little bit more rendered, but still have that sharpness of a line art drawing. And I also decided to put in water. This is also in some of Todd Lockwood's covers, so I referenced how he did it and kind of did it for this creature, at least around his feet. And also for these postcards I draw extra little things just to explain what this creature is all about. So you have him swimming, and you have a piece of chunk of meat, and you have a stamp, and that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this creature. His name is a Rivergryph, or I can't pronounce the Latin word that we put into this. You can find some more close-ups over on Instagram, and I'll probably post it somewhere else as well. And remember, if you want the postcard, sign up to Patreon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!